Beliefs are not always conscious or fully realized. We believe in an idea because we once believed in it, were convinced of the correctness of the idea, trusted an authoritative person who told us about it, or drew a conclusion from our own experience and observations. Sometimes beliefs are formed in childhood and accompany us throughout our lives, influencing our actions and decisions. They can be so deeply rooted in our consciousness that we do not even notice their existence. These beliefs become a kind of filters through which we perceive the world and make decisions. For example, if a person believes that the world is dangerous, they will see threats where none exist and act accordingly, which can lead to social isolation and anxiety. Beliefs are not always rational or completely rational. What does rational mean? It's a tricky word. Wikipedia says, rationality, from Latin ratio, reason, is a term that in its broadest sense means reasonableness, meaningfulness, the opposite of irrationality. In a more specialized sense, it is a characteristic of knowledge in terms of its conformity to certain principles of thought. Rational beliefs are based on logical conclusions and fact-checking. For example, the idea that regular exercise improves health is supported by scientific research and observation. But many of our beliefs are not formed based on rational arguments, but are influenced by emotions, cultural norms, or personal experience. These beliefs can be persistent and strong, even if they have no logical basis or contradict the facts. We could speculate about different principles of thinking, but we won't. Let's focus on the fact that a rational idea means that the idea can be tested, verified by experience, and that it is logically related to other ideas that are obvious to us. Logically connected is when I can deduce one idea from other ideas without breaking the rules of logic. For example, if cats can go to the litter box, then my cat can also be taught to go to the litter box. It is important to note that rational ideas are not always easy to implement in real life because of individual differences and circumstances. For example, although many cats are easily trained to use the litter box, a particular cat may have behavioral problems or fears that interfere with this process. Thus, even rational beliefs require flexibility and a willingness to adapt. But, as I said above, beliefs are not always rational. For example, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. This is a very strong statement believed by a huge number of people, but it is not rational because it cannot be verified. One can only believe it, which many people do, and find many benefits for themselves. Such beliefs can give meaning to life and provide comfort and support in difficult times. However, they can also lead to conflict and misunderstanding when faced with opposing views. Believers can draw strength and inspiration from their beliefs, which helps them cope with life's challenges and make important decisions. At the same time, irrational beliefs can limit freedom of thought and interfere with an objective perception of reality. Or they also talk about irrational ideas, ideas that contradict logic. For example, the idea, everyone wants to humiliate or offend me. Irrationality is that it is easily refuted by experience. You approach a person on the street and learn about his desires for your address. Most likely, he will not have any of them, including desires to humiliate or offend. Even if the first person has such a desire by an unfortunate chance, the second, third, or 110th person definitely does not. Thus, it is very easy to make sure that not everyone wants it. Nevertheless, such beliefs can be very persistent and affect a person's behavior and self-esteem. They can cause anxiety and depression, interfering with a fulfilling social life. To overcome such beliefs, it is important to work on changing one's perceptions and beliefs, perhaps through psychotherapy. Thus, the first thing to do with beliefs is to detect them. This requires consciously observing your thoughts and reactions. It is important to notice which beliefs influence our behaviors and decisions. Often we don't realize that they are the ones that dictate our behavior. For example, you can keep a diary, writing down your thoughts and analyzing them. This will help you identify hidden beliefs and understand which ones are preventing you from achieving your goals and well-being. The second thing is to check their rationality. You need to ask yourself, what is the basis of this belief? What facts support it? Is it possible to disprove it? This stage requires critical thinking and a willingness to revise one's views. It is important to look for objective evidence and consider different points of view. For example, if a person is convinced that he or she is a failure, It is worth analyzing his or her successes and achievements to find a refutation of this belief. The third is to decide what to do with it. It may be worth replacing it with a more rational and constructive belief. For example, instead of "I am a failure," you could adopt the idea of "I face challenges but I can overcome them." This will help change behavior and increase self-confidence. The process of replacing beliefs takes time and effort, but it can significantly improve the quality of life. The important thing is to be patient and keep working on yourself, even if the results are not immediately obvious. "What a bore," you'll say, and you'd be right. It's pretty boring looking from the outside. But when you're dealing with your personal beliefs that are affecting what's happening to you right now, the fun is much greater. Understanding your beliefs and working to change them can be an exciting process that opens up new possibilities and perspectives. It's like solving a complex puzzle by finding the answers within yourself. It is important to remember that each step along the way brings you closer to a more realized and harmonious life. For example, a young man really wants to, but cannot approach and start talking to a female classmate he likes. He has ideas in his head. "She will send me away. She is so beautiful. And I am miserable, poor loser. Beautiful girls do not get acquainted with people like me." The typical irrational belief in this example is, "Beautiful girls don't get to know people like me. Shabby, loser, poor." This belief is irrational. First, because the self-assessment is very categorical and most likely not very valid. It is important to realize that our self-assessment often does not match reality and is based on negative experiences or the opinions of others. It is important to develop a positive attitude towards yourself and seek validation of your worth. Secondly, he may look completely different in her eyes. She may find him interesting and attractive, but his own fears prevent him from seeing this. It's worth trying to see yourself from the other person's perspective, which can help change perceptions. To do this, it is useful to develop empathy and communication skills, which can help build rapport and reduce anxiety. Thirdly, there are plenty of examples of TACUS getting to know each other, getting married, having children, and even living together into old age. These examples show that any relationship is possible if you put in the effort and are open to new possibilities. It is important to remember that every person is unique, and you can't predict how a relationship will turn out based only on stereotypes. Openness and willingness to experiment can lead to unexpectedly pleasant results. For this young man, thinking about this belief is unlikely to seem boring, and changing it even less so. The idea of "I have a chance," if he gives this idea a place in his soul, can make a big difference in his emotions in this situation, his behavior, and perhaps his life. If not with this girl, then with another. It's important to remember that self-confidence and a positive attitude can make a big difference in success in socializing. Working on your beliefs can help change not only certain aspects of your life, but also your overall level of well-being and satisfaction. This example shows how you can discover such beliefs. You need to notice the thoughts that arise in your head on their own when you are experiencing strong emotions. Such beliefs support these emotions and can intensify them. Often these thoughts themselves bring suffering. For example, a person may constantly think about their shortcomings, which leads to low self-esteem and chronic stress. It is important to learn how to recognize such thoughts and work to change them. One method may be cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps to identify and change negative thoughts and beliefs. For example, a girl says to her boyfriend or thinks, "You men are all the same, you only want to go to bed." Because of this, she may experience negative emotions and not notice when a guy does something from other motives. Based on this idea, she may conclude that there is nothing to talk to guys about, they are all horny jerks, and behave accordingly, limiting her interactions with them to sex and what she thinks is fair to receive in return. This belief not only distorts perceptions, but can also destroy relationships. It is important to learn to see in partners not only stereotypical images, but also their individuality, to understand their motives and actions. The biggest difficulty in working with such beliefs is that they seem completely obvious and undeniable when you are under their influence. To notice them, you have to calm down, detach yourself from them a bit, take an observer's stance and learn to stay in it. It takes practice and time, but the results are worth it. Developing meditation and mindfulness skills can help with this process. These practices help to release emotional tension and take an outside perspective on your thoughts and feelings, which makes it easier to analyze and change them. The second option is to talk about them with someone you trust. It is easiest to talk to a therapist. Loved ones can also help, but not in all cases. It is usually harmful for a girl to discuss with her boyfriend that he needs nothing but sex. He is likely to take offense and may say something equally rational in response. A therapist can help to understand the true reasons for these beliefs and suggest methods to change them. Communication with loved ones can also be helpful if it is done in an atmosphere of trust and support. It is important to find a balance between self-help and professional support in order to effectively work on your beliefs and improve your quality of life. Thanks for listening. Be sure to share your opinion in the comments. Feedback is important to me. Don't forget to support the video with a like and subscribe.